I think we'll also learn a lot from our next presenter. Would you please welcome Naomi?
Well, we all had the wonderful experience this morning of feeling the pure physical reaction of what happens when you have to speak to even a small group like this one, especially when there's something a little bit unexpected about it. So you can probably imagine how I felt. A few years ago, without really knowing what I was getting myself into, I agreed to be part of a Celtic band that played at the Seattle Folklife. So what happened was we got up there, we did our sound check. I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to anything kind of beyond the equipment and my instruments and so on. But then I looked up on my way back in when it was time for us to perform, and I asked the stagehand, well, how many people do you think are out there? And he said, about 2,000. So what really struck me when we were doing the talk this morning was how similar some of the coping mechanisms that we've been learning in public speaking, how similar it is actually to preparing for a musical performance. Now, the first thing I'd like to say is I'm an instrumentalist. I never did the singing, or I was not the front man, so the public speaking is still very new to me. But a few of the things that I learned that I think are kind of transferable skills is, first of all, when you're performing, you have to be very conscious of pacing. Because what happens to me is I get an adrenaline rush and my hands shake. This is difficult when you're playing an instrument. So the first thing I would schedule is something that I do extremely well, so that even if I was having to kind of wait out the adrenaline, it was something I could do automatically enough that I didn't have to give a lot of thought, and my body knew what to do even if my brain had checked out for a period of time. Another thing is that when we are doing what sort of like the little sets that make up the big set list is to vary the pacing, like if you have solo versus everybody playing at once, fast songs, slow songs. You always want to end on something that you know really well and is very upbeat, so you can leave everybody smiling. And you can rest assured that in the most sensitive, slowest, most delicate piece, if you're in a coffee shop, somebody will order a cappuccino, so that you get to, play your party piece with the accompaniment of hissing foam. Another sort of planning piece that you need to do when you're doing a musical performance is to know something about the venue. Are you going to be indoors or outdoors? Are you going to be having to use sound equipment, or are you playing an acoustic set? One of the things we were talking about, notes flying away, one of the things that we use for playing outside is music clips, so that if you're in a windstorm, you don't suddenly find yourself extemporizing. You have to expect the unexpected. One time I played the harp, by the way, so I was playing a wedding, and I had a drunk bagpiper want to do a duet with me. And one time I was playing a wedding, and very appropriately my G-string broke. But another thing. You need to. It's a special moment. One of the other things also is knowing something about what your audience expects, what's going to happen. If you're playing a wedding, you're going to have to do a processional and a recessional and something for when they're signing the register and that sort of thing. If you're playing a festival or a pub, if you're a Celtic musician, you have to be prepared to do all the loud driving pieces. You bring the drummer that day, that sort of thing. One of the types of venues that a lot of people don't know that you can play for is funerals, but also in palliative care situations, going into hospitals or that sort of thing. And just to remember, they don't always want sad music. Sometimes they'll also want something upbeat. So again, you have to be prepared, expect the unexpected, and thank you.